Welcome to our partner webinar, MyPV and Sungrow. Today it's all about hot water from photovoltaics. In the combination of our two brands, we would like to show you what are the benefits of the combination and what possibilities do you have here. And I want to start with a short introduction with MyPV, of MyPV, and today with me in the webinar room is my charming colleague from Sungrow, Eleonora, and we are doing the co-moderation of this webinar together. And there is also my MyPV colleague Talal in the chat available for you. So if you have answers in between our presentation, in between the slides, or while I'm presenting, while I'm talking, just write it into the chat window and Talal will do its best to answer it. At the beginning, I would like to introduce our managing director. Dr. Gerhard Rimpler is the founder of MyPV, and his background is solar electronics side. So he raised the PV inverter division in an Austrian company many decades ago. And when he started with MyPV, he founded the company as a distributor actually. And at those days, we were also distributing Sungrow inverters. So it was just a question of time when our ways meet again. And today we have a new compatibility that we have to announce. My background, my name is Reinhard, is the solar thermal side. So I know everything about pipes and pumps and expansion vessels and solar thermal collector systems. And from that point of view, I'm aware of the limits of this old thermal technology. Today we know that wires instead of pipes can make heat production from the sun many times easier and nowadays also cheaper than using pipes and pumps. And I already mentioned it, with me is my new colleague in the webinar room, Talal. Talal, I'm asking you for your kind introduction, please.
Yeah, so I had recently finished my master's from Germany in sustainable systems engineering, and I was working as a research assistant in the field of renewable energy and photovoltaics. And now I'm a part of MyPV, working together with solar thermal as well as with the photovoltaics. So I will be in the chat for your questions, and you can ask any questions after we are finishing the webinar. So I will be your contact person for international sales side. And yeah, looking forward. Reinhard.
Thank you, Talal. Maybe you can already write your email address into the chat. So if there are questions, maybe after the webinar, do not hesitate and send your question or your requests to Talal, please.
Perfect.
Some milestones. We were founded, actually, I already mentioned it, as a distributor, and we were distributing Sungrow inverters beside other brands those days. And during the time, we changed our business model to a manufacturing company. We started with our first own product development in 2014, which was the ELVA. ELVA is an abbreviation, it means electric water heater, and in 2014 it was a DC solution, and up to date this DC solution is part of our portfolio and it's one of our flagships. But today it's all about using the AC solutions in on-grid systems where we can receive the excessive power information from Sungrow. And this is what we developed in the years after 2015, when we also terminated all our distribution activities. And our latest milestones were the development of the Actra product family, and this is of course a part of the webinar today. And in 2021, this year, we are going to build a new company building, also to have the production capacities for the demand in the next years. And now, Eleonora, it's up to you. Please introduce yourself and Sungrow.
Thank you very much, Reinhard. Thank you all as well for joining this webinar. I'm happy that you are joining, and we'll take some time to go together in this webinar together with MyPV. My name is Eleonora Potestillo, and I'm Technical Sales Support Engineer for the Benelux and the Nordic regions. And at the same time, I'm also Product Owner for Sungrow CNI Solutions. Previously, I was working as technical consultant for utility scale projects. So it's kind of this year that I entered more the residential market. And I'm happy also to discuss today what solutions Sungrow brings together with MyPV for such opportunities. I would like to start today's presentation with a short introduction about Sungrow, about our company and where we come from. So Sungrow was founded in 1997 by Professor Zhao in the Hefei region. Hefei is located approximately 400 kilometers from Shanghai, and back at the time, the area was highly affected by unreliability of the grid and also issues with the production, of course, of renewable energy in the area, as we know. That is why Professor Zhao founded this company, founded Sungrow together with some of his students, while working at the University of Hefei. That's how Sungrow was born, and I think that's also a good starting point for Sungrow that really came from a university perspective and academic perspective. So what does Sungrow do? We are a full clean tech energy company, so we do not have any other markets on the side in which we are active. As you know, Sungrow is manufacturers of PV inverters, of course. We go from residential applications to commercial as well as bigger installations with central inverters as well, with our project teams, which are, of course, building all around the world. Together with that, we are also active in the energy storage systems, providing different tailored solutions for sure also commercial applications as well as residential, as we will also look at it later today. But additional to that, I think what's also interesting to highlight is our experience as EPCs. Sungrow in the Asian market is one of the biggest EPCs that's available, and I think that really has given Sungrow the experience on the field, and we have brought this knowledge, of course, in the products that we are bringing to the market as well in the European market. Together with that, Sungrow also produce the components for in other fields such as EV driving systems or wind energy converters that we provide to different big manufacturer leaders around the world. So I think we are kind of really a full scope company when it comes to innovation, clean tech solutions. So I would give back the word to Reinhard, so you can proceed with the presentation, and then I will join then back later.
Thanks for your introduction, Eleonora. The MyPV part is all about hot water or space heating from PV. We think that the future of building installation is going to be electric. And in this webinar today, I want to show you what products from MyPV are compatible to Sungrow inverters. But before we start with that, I want to take a few moments to deal with the question, why electric hot water and space heating? I already mentioned we came from the solar thermal side. We all know the limits of this technology. And when we are talking about solar power, about PV power, it's all about saving the energy, about energy storage. It's about taking the peaks and store it for the evening. And the most common way to do this is installing a battery. And by the way, we are always talking about on-grid systems now. So in a 4-person household, in a single family home, for example, a typical storage capacity of a battery system is around about 5 kilowatt hours. And this is a very low storage capacity that still up to date needs to be installed for a huge investment. So as a cheap alternative, we can use the hot water boiler as a storage medium using a MyPV solution. And see there, in a 300 volume hot water boiler, we have around about 15 kilowatt hours of storage capacities available. So we can be a cheaper alternative to a battery system. Yes, that is true. But we do not compete with battery systems. For example, in combination with Sungrow, it is possible to use both technologies. So on the Sungrow inverter there is also a battery, and from the moment forward where this battery is fully charged, we can use the rest of the remaining excess energy for heat production. The sequence or the order of the application is clear. MyPV is always the last application before we feed it into the power grid. Why is that? That's easy. When it is heat in the hot water boiler by MyPV, we cannot get back electricity out of it. So priority, when it is there, is always on the battery. This is very important to know, but hardly anyone knows about the huge storage capacities in hot water. And now I want to deal with the energy demand in a single family house. So nearly everyone in Europe, for example, knows that we need an energy per year of approximately 4,000 kilowatt hours. And no one knows, or hardly no one knows, that we need approximately the same amount of energy for hot water production. And I'm talking about a 4-person household now. And of course, we can easily cover this energy segment also with PV power. Yeah, this is absolutely no problem. For the most time of the year, there is more than enough excessive power available. A relatively new topic at MyPV is electric space heating. And therefore, we have to take a closer look on the properties of the building. It needs to be a very low energy building or a passive house maybe. And the PV system is let's say around a size of 10 kilowatt hours. So it fills the whole roof, and then we can also supply the energy for electric space heating for most of the year from PV power, even in climate conditions of Middle Europe. But today the focus is more on hot water production. We are dealing with this topic for many years now, and we are very successful. And the recent milestone here is the combination with Sungrow. So you do not need a MyPV energy meter additionally when you have a Sungrow system there. And that's the big deal. And then it's all about raising the self-consumption ratio in an on-grid system. So when we are taking again a look on a single family home and we assume that there is a 5 kilowatt peak system installed, then we see that on the average approximately 1/3 of the energy production that comes from the roof can be consumed directly in the building. The rest of the energy that comes from the roof is fed into the power grid. So what can we do to increase the self-utilization ratio? First idea is always install a battery. So yes, you can increase your self-utilization ratio to around about 60% or 66%. So 2/3 of the energy can be consumed in the building. But this is a huge investment here. As an alternative, I already mentioned it, we can install a MyPV system, and see there we increase the self-utilization ratio even higher when we use the excessive energy for hot water heating. But again, we are not competing with battery systems. For Sungrow, the combination with batteries is possible. And when you combine both systems, we can raise the self-utilization ratio even higher. Again, here is the priority. So priority should usually be on charging the battery. But actually it depends. It depends on energy prices. It depends on feed-in tariffs, if this is clever or not. For Middle Europe, this is the way that we recommend. And after the battery is fully charged, which is on a sunny day, usually sometimes in the early morning, we have plenty of excessive power available during the rest of the day for hot water heating. So more than enough excessive power is available usually, energy that usually would be fed into the grid. And depending on your feed-in tariff, this can be economic or not. So when we are talking about raising the self-utilization ratio, there is always the questions, what improvements are possible here? And therefore, we have our simulation tool. It's an online calculator. We call it the MyPV Power Coach. It's on our website, and with this tool, you can adjust the PV system that is installed. You can adjust the hot water demand, the battery storage capacity, the number of persons in the household. You can even adjust if there is an EV charging station there or not. So you configure your system and you get the information what self-utilization ratio is possible, your independency ratio is predicted. You get even an economic analysis of your operation costs. And beside an energy report that can be created, you also get a suggestion of MyPV devices that probably are required to create this system. So it's really fun to play around with this online tool, but it's a serious tool also for planning, also for sales activity, because it gives you the arguments that you need for your consultancy, and for your sales activity. So I really want to recommend it. It's a very good tool to get an idea of the possibilities. And now we are getting a little more specific. Now we are talking about the solutions. And the first solution, I have to mention it once again, in 2014 was the ELVA, electric water heater. It was a DC solution, and up to date it's one of our flagships. So it's so easy. You can directly connect PV panels to the immersion heater, and that's it. There is no big deal about it. It cannot be made easier to create hot water from PV power. There's an MPP tracker inside and all the stuff that you need. When we are talking about combination with Sungrow, and this is what this webinar is all about, then we are talking about the AC version of the ELVA, which is AC ELVA minus E. The E stands for Ethernet. So the AC ELVA E receives the excessive power information from Sungrow via Ethernet, via a network router. And this works with the AC ELVA E or with the Actor photovoltaic power manager. We are going into more details on the next slides, but to make it very simple, what is the difference between AC ELVA E and Actor? The AC ELVA E is an immersion heater, and with the MyPV know-how, with the MyPV power stage that controls the power output of the immersion heater linearly, we can make this immersion heater now PV ready, because not only the PV power is changing all the time, also the loads in the building are switched on and off, so the lights and the electric appliances are switched on and off permanently, and the balance in the feed-in point, the amount of excessive power, the amount of energy which is too much, changes all the time. And with the MyPV know-how, we make electric heating now PV ready, because our power stages adjust the power output on the electric heaters very fast and very accurate. So the AC ELVA is a power stage for a power control from 0 to 3 kilowatts, which also includes the immersion heater on the product. And this product can be assembled in a hot water boiler or in the storage tank. The other power stage that we are offering is the Actor. The difference between AC ELVA E and Actor is that with the Actor we have separated the power stage from the immersion heater and replaced it with a power socket. And that means that you can now use also existing immersion heaters, standard heaters, which usually can only be switched on and off, use power of the nominal power output at the maximum or nothing. We can use these immersion heaters, and now we make it PV ready because we adjust the power output according to the amount of your excessive power, according to the information that we receive from Sungrow. And this is the system in more detail. So the AC ELVA E is the immersion heater, and the power stage is inside this green box here. Today I'm not in my standard office, so I cannot show you a model now. I'm sorry for that. But the box here with the know-how of MyPV in the inside is very small. The measures are, the dimensions are about let's say 13 times 15 centimeters. So it's many times smaller than people would expect at the first glance. And the immersion heater has a length of 45 centimeters. The standard connection thread is a 1.5 inch connection. It is a very common size that can be found on most hot water boilers or storage tanks. And with this standard connection thread, it can be assembled in a thermal storage. So it does not matter if it's drinking water or space heating water. The power that is available and the power that should be used by ACLYE is always taken out from a normal socket. We recommend to install a separate fuse for this circuit. It's a 3 kilowatt unit, and the power output can be on the whole range in between 0 and 3000 watts. How much power it uses is of course provided, the information is of course provided by Sungrow via Ethernet. So on the bottom there's an RG45 Ethernet socket. For all of you who don't feel comfortable with this mains plug here, because it's a European standard mains plug, maybe this is not the right mains plug for your installation. It's very easy. You cut off the plug. It's no problem for us as a manufacturer. It has no influence on the warranty, and then you can make a hard wiring with terminal blocks. No problem from our side. So on the bottom there's an Ethernet socket, and this Ethernet port is connected to the router of the building, to the local area network, and within this local area network we receive the excessive power information from Sungrow. I already mentioned most of the technical details here. What is very important to mention is our way of linear power control. We are not using thyristors. We do not have so-called phase angle control, because this is not allowed in Europe for a power of more than 200 watts. Our power stage works like a PV inverter, very fast and very accurate, and of course it is compliant with the grid rules of the grid operators. Because or due to the fact that it is connected to a router, the ACLYE also receives an IP address from a router. So as every network client receives an IP address from the router, for example your laptop, your smartphone, everything receives an IP address, and with this IP address you have access to the web interface of the ACLYE via the standard web browser. Can be Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, whatever. Then you have access to all the settings. Because the factory preset is that we are only using excessive energy, which would usually fed into the grid. But we can also do what we call boost backup, and this is optional. So for all the days where the energy from the PV system is not enough to do the hot water heating, we can also take power from the grid or from the battery if it is necessary to ensure the comfort of your hot water system. But that's an option. You can adjust 2 time frames for this in the web interface, and also a lower target temperature. Because the standard target temperature for excess power is adjusted via this rotation knob here on the surface of the product. Good. There is also the possibility to have remote access to the units via an online data cloud. We call it MyPV Live. And then, for example, installers have the possibility to have access to the device settings from their office. They do not have to get to the customer's place, which is a big advantage, of course. And then we have the other power stage where we have removed the immersion heater, physically speaking, and we replace the immersion heater with the socket here. And now we can also use standard electric heaters. By the way, it's not necessary that it's an immersion heater in a tank. It can be any ohmic load, it can be any resistive load for electric heating, which means it can also be an electric heating mat. It can also be an infrared panel that is used for PV heating. And the Actor also is available as an international version. For the international version, we are supplying the unit with an adapter for this Schuko plug, for this Schuko plug, again, for these Schuko sockets, I'm sorry, mixing German and English words now. Then you can use, of course, also electric loads with other connectors. Good. When the people saw the Actra for the first time in 2017, they saw this device here on the wall with the color touch display, and they thought, okay, this is now some kind of smart home system. But the Actra is definitely not a smart home system. It's a power stage for making electric heaters PV ready. And it has many unique sales points. Number one is the size. This thing, I have one device next to me here. This is so small I can hold it in my hand here. And this is not a dummy, this is a real unit. I think it has a little more than 1 kilogram. And unique sales point number two is the display. We have a color touch display on the unit for very intuitive control. And I'm always saying, when you can do the adjustment to wake up next morning with your smartphone for the clock, you can also do adjustments for the optional boost backup here on the display very easily. It's really very intuitive, and you probably don't need the manual for this. Unique sales point number three, it's all pluggable. So the load is pluggable, also the communication, of course, it's an RG45 socket. And the temperature sensor, one temperature sensor is always available with the Actra. It is pre-wired on this plug here, so it's very easy to install. Unique sales point number four, we are open for third-party control. So it's not necessary to use the MyPV power meter. If you have a Sungrow system, it also works with the Sungrow system. If you want to have the communication protocol to do the control of the Actra yourself with your own home automation system, we will provide the communication description to you. This is not confidential. We give you the communication protocols. No problem at all. So, technical details. One thing that I have not mentioned yet, you will receive all the slides of the webinar today after we have finished the session. So I'm not going into every detail here on this slide. I already mentioned the most important things. So the single phase variant of the Actra is a power stage from 0 to 3000 watts. And especially in the combination with Sungrow, this power control happens very fast and very accurate. Also for the AC/LVE, of course. 1 time per second for each single watt, we can ensure the balance in the feed-in point. We avoid import from the power grid, and we avoid feed-in into the power grid. And of course, when there is a router in between, which needs to be definitely when we combine it with Sungrow, the Actra is also accessible via a web interface. So not only the display can be used as a user interface, also the web interface is possible. And then there's a big brother of the Actra, it's the Actra 9S. And this is not a mistake that we are using the same image on the right side here. It's really the same case. But now the Actra 9S is not single phase up to 3 kilowatt maximum. Now it is 3 phase up to 9 kilowatt maximum. And now we have a 9 kilowatt power stage in this small case here. And this is really unique when you look on other power stages on the market. And even due to the fact that it's a 3-phase power stage, we kept our principle alive to make it everything pluggable on the bottom. Of course, the socket here now is replaced by other connectors, but it's all pluggable. What is very important, of course, all the 4 unique sales points that I mentioned for the Actra are also given for the Actra 9S. But there is one more thing. When you look on 3-phase power stages on the market, they are always working like this. They are controlling the phase on one output, so from 0 to 3 kilowatts, always the same phase. And once there is enough excessive power available, they just switch on a second phase or a third phase. They are just switched on, while just phase 1 is really linear power controlled. So the Actra works exactly in the same principle, but what can we do better? We can adjust the controlled power output from output 1 to output 2 to output 3, which means we can control each of the three phases linearly with power, not at the same time, but one after the other. And that means that we can also control three different single-phase loads, even with a different nominal power. So you can connect a 3 kilowatt heater on the one output, 2 kilowatt heater on the other output, and the 1.5 kilowatt heater on the third output. No problem, we can use all of them. That's the real great thing. So all three outputs here are controllable, and of course the actors also have the possibility to be remotely controlled via the MyPV data cloud. Good. What is very important for retrofitting? When you want to make an existing three-phase heater PV ready, please be aware of one important fact. We need the neutral conductor, which means, technically speaking, the load needs to be connected in star connection, and it's not working in delta connection. So not in 3 times 400 volt systems, but in 3 times 230 volt systems it works. This is very important for retrofitting. But the actors have an internal load detection, which means that the actor knows what is the nominal power of the load. For the single-phase actor here, this means that you, of course, can connect a 2 kilowatt load, 1.5 kilowatt load, even when this actor is a 3 kilowatt power stage, this works. And for the actor 9S, this means you can use a 6 kilowatt immersion heater as well. As long as there is a neutral conductor, we can also work with this kind of load. Good. For all the people who want to have all accessory parts out of one hand, who want to have the safety that all components fit together, of course MyPV is also offering accessory parts like this immersion heaters here. So a 3 kilowatt single phase heater is available, as well as a 3-phase 9 kilowatt heater for the Actra 9S. These are accessory parts that we can offer up on request. Good. I think I already mentioned all the advantages. Where can you find important information for the combination MyPV and Sungrow? Of course, on our website. When you go to downloads and just enter Sungrow here, you find the Actra operation manual, where it's described how to connect both systems. And there is also a project description for your information, which gives you more information on already implemented systems. When we want to be controlled by Sungrow, we definitely have to do this setting on the web interface. Unfortunately, so far it's not possible on the display, but this will be possible soon. Now, at this day, we have to do the adjustment on the web interface, and this is how the web interface looks like. It appears as a normal website in your web browser, and for control settings, this means that you have to select Sungrow manual. And after you have done this, you enter the IP address of the signal source of the Sungrow inverter here. You save the setting, and then the connection of both components is completed. And that's it, and then we can be controlled by Sungrow. What is very important to say, the Sungrow inverter isn't the only thing that matters. Of course, there has to be some kind of energy meter which talks to the Sungrow inverter, so we always need some kind of metering in the feeding point which actually detects the amount of excessive power. And via the Sungrow inverter, we receive the information via Ethernet then. Good, and here is the example that we have seen on the download site. This was, I think, a 2-family home, a 9 kilowatt peak system on the roof, and a BYD battery storage of 7.7 kilowatt hours capacity. And here we see the Sungrow hybrid inverter. This is very important. Right now, with the Sungrow hybrid inverter, we can be compatible, because this inverter from Sungrow is able to give us the excessive power information via Ethernet. So there is an energy meter in the feed-in point, and via the inverter we receive the information how much power we should adjust on the electric heater. And I think Eleonora can tell us a little more on that and gives us an overview which Sungrow components are already compatible to us. Yeah, and now, Eleonora, it's up to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction again. So yes, as shown in the reference project, we are happy to have this cooperation with MyPV and being able to deliver this type of system into the market. I think especially in the last years, we've seen an increase of interest of this type of systems, and of course, an interest in improving the performance of one own system and achieve, of course, higher consumption. I think maybe we will start from the warranty terms for our solution, as we know, to provide our clients with the full tranquility and also show the reliability of the system together with our compatible devices. We have increased last year our warranty terms from 5 years up to 10 years for all our residential inverters, including the hybrid inverter, which as Reinhard has explained today, is fully compatible with the MyPV solution. So I think now it's time to dive also in Sungrow's inverter and see also more technical details about our product itself, and check out, as Reinhard has mentioned, which components are required to provide this compatible and unique solution. This new product, which was launched already last year on the market, wants to be a solution for our customers who want more than just a simple PV inverter. So they just not want to generate energy from the grid, consume it or put in the grid, but actually wants to have a full solution and integrated solution for achieving then over time a really good smart home. As seen earlier in the presentation, the integration of also hot water and MyPV and the PV generation is of course is essential to actually achieve of course this in our houses and in our homes. In particular, more and more customers want to reach, as I said, more independency from the grid by achieving a higher self-consumption rate. Of course, this can already be achieved with a battery connected to a system. Therefore, just connecting a battery module for immediate storage can make the conventional PV system being upgraded to a energy storage system. Of course, that's not only our objective. We want to also to increase self-consumption even more and be able to be compatible with other devices in the homes and to exactly as I said, put in also, for example, hot water or heating pumps and so on, all in one system. Another thing I think that we would like to highlight today is regarding the features of the hybrid inverter. Of course, we know that the grid in Germany is generally quite stable and may not be affected so much by blackouts, for example, as in other markets. I think all the regions, especially in the DACH region or European countries, generally share a similar solution. But I think what's also important is that in case this events actually might happen, the inverter that we propose have a transition to backup mode very quick, which is more or less in 20 milliseconds. And therefore this quick switch from the grid to backup mode will allow to go through a blackout without even noticing it. So without even a flicker from the household to see. Of course, it will then immediately start to power all the loads connected to the backup mode to be powered up and therefore run still after the a blackout may have seen. I see one of the questions regarding the Middle East. At the moment, this hybrid inverter is active or has been launched in the European market and especially in German and Swedish market. Beginning of this year, we are also going to extend the availability of these products in other markets. but at the moment, Middle East is not really our target zone. But then maybe we can review those countries and time plans then afterwards. I will also maybe then leave my contact details in the chat, and you can always then get in touch with me for further questions regarding that. So following up on the hybrid inverter, I think one of our main focus of our products is certainly to create a product that's quick and fast to install on site, but not only with our product itself, but of course, as we discussed earlier, also cooperation and compatibility with other devices on site. We know how time consuming it can be, and of course we want our customers to have a great experience installing our products and to easily connect also with the other devices in their homes for easy usage. The compact inverter design and the unique push-in connectors, of course, lead to high saving times in the installation and also a low operational and maintenance costs afterwards. All the connectors that are required are located on the bottom side of the inverter, which you can see here, shown in the photo. On the left side, we have all the PV inputs. We have the battery connectors, of course. In the center, then we have the communication terminals, where we have, of course, also the LAN and communication terminals to the other devices. And then on the right side, we have the AC grid terminal as well as the backup connector, to which is possible to connect, of course, all the emergency loads that you are interested in. Of course, here you can see an image of our AC connector that does not require any tool on site, but it can just be assembled by screwing the components together and then click it directly into the inverter. So I think that was our objective in creating this easy and quick installation for our inverters. So regarding the Middle East, that's generally could be, of course, installed. Generally, this is a matter then regarding certification and grid codes. So in the European office, when I'm located, we are generally taking care only of the European market. But of course, we have also offices in the Middle East that are taking care of bringing this product also to the market. So certainly such a system we will see not only in the European, in these countries, but I think will be slowly a product that will substitute, of course, a standard and a normal PV inverters that we've seen until now, I would say. Another thing that I wanted to highlight is, of course, also regarding the commissioning of and the installation of the inverter on site. Within the scope of delivery, you will be provided with this integrated level mark that you see here in the picture. That, of course, will allow you easy and quick mounting installation of the inverter. And of course, one it's all mounted to in the apartment, in your basement, wherever you would like to have it. Then the commissioning is easily done via the app. Of course, as mentioned, our app and our Isola Cloud will manage to gather all the information of the PV generation, of the excessive power, and of course provide this information also to the MyPV solution in order for them to understand when to turn on the system and actually create a better integration solution between the two. So our inverters we have the power range that goes from 5 kilowatt up to 10 kilowatt, and of course we have several manufacturer leaders with which we are compatible with. For example, BYD, LG Chem, and shortly this year also BMZ. Of course, we are also working on our own battery solution in order that we can provide a unique Sungrow solution to you. But we are still very happy to working with other several manufacturers in the market and allow, of course, the coupling of our system with the market leaders as out there as well. So here you see the overview of the inverter, the battery manufacturers that we are currently compatible with. Of course, depending on the type of battery, the connection can be done either via CAN or RS485. But of course, we have documentation and installation guides for all that for you to easily install the inverter. So as discussed earlier, we also provide an open protocol in order to be compatible with third-party solutions like MyPV, and of course the realization of a system that can combine, of course, different solutions. In particular, today we wanted to focus on the hot water combination with MyPV. As mentioned earlier by Reinhard, thanks to this combination, we can of course increase the usage of the production of the PV system and the energy stored in the battery to produce and to support the MyPV solution. Thanks to this, of course, we can increase the self-consumption ratio of the system. When the battery is fully charged, of course, the excessive power can be used instead of feeding into the grid. But thanks also to the know-how of MyPV and the compatibility with the system, of course, it is also possible that the power is taken from the grid. So that's then, I think, depends on the objective and the requirements from the system. So regarding this, of course, the inverter can achieve high self-consumption and grid independency, thanks to this also optimized energy management system. Through the Modbus TCP or IP protocol, the EMS or control box from third-party devices can fully control the on and off of the system, can lead or help the charging and discharging, regulate the charging and discharging of the inverter, or for example, also clipping or derating the inverter in case that is also needed. The EMS can of course also control the storage system to coordinate the frequency regulation as well. Additionally, the inverter are also smart grid compatible, which means that also connection of a heat pump is possible with this, and this therefore would allow to bring together also house heating and electricity all in one, which I think it's also sometimes a solution that our customers are interested to have, and which of course allows a better optimization of the PV energy produced by the PV panels that you have in your house. So additionally, thanks to this efficiency energy management systems that we have, the PV system can reach full self-consumption mode, as the inverter can supply both the battery and also the loads at the same time. So during the daytime, the EMS works in self-consumption mode by default. That means that the PV power will go to the emergency loads and of course also the house loads first, and then if excessive power is available, we then go to the battery, of course. And then if the battery is fully charged, the excess power could either be taken care of course, from the MyPV solution, or otherwise can then directly go to the grid. As mentioned, this can be regulated with the communication between the two systems. During the nighttime instead, the battery of course discharges to provide energy to the loads. And if the battery is then empty or there is not enough power from the battery system, then the unmet power will either be supplied as well again to the system of MyPV or to the grid, depending on the requirements itself. Certainly, it's also possible to regulate the production of the hybrid, and we have, of course, several parameters that can easily be set up directly from our iSolar Cloud monitoring tool, and can give you full control over your not only the hybrid system as well, but also the excessive energy that you want to use, either with for hot water reasons or for feeding it to the grid. With this type of product, it is also possible to make your own grid. Therefore, it can also be used for households that work often on or in island mode. Of course, this is not a per se island inverter, of course, but we can allow, can aim to have a high independency, of course, from the grid. Since it is a three-phase product, we can provide unbalanced backup load. We support 3.3 on each phase. So of course, this can reach an imbalance between loads of 3.3 between the different phases, also during backup mode. We have also a high battery power with up to 30 ampere maximum charger. So if the battery is charged enough, then of course you can have a full backup mode also in case you are disconnected from the grid. So overall, Sungrow also offers high flexibility and good integration with whichever system you will need to connect it to. And we offer a monitoring tool which is free of charge, which is the iSolar Cloud, which I said that you can use to regulate your PV system and your battery characteristics as well. And of course, this can be then you have then a dedicated either a LAN port for Modbus TCP, for example, in this case for the integration, or can also be used the RS485 for Modbus RTU. So that also depends on the requirements you have. So as we said, the communication between our inverters and MyPV solution can be done with Sungrow communication devices as well. In this first slide, you can see the Wi-Fi adapter, so our Wi-Fi dongle, which is included in the package for free and then can be used for commissioning of the iSolar Cloud. Of course, DHCP can also be set on this device. Therefore, it is not necessary then to configure the IP address on the router and on the dongle side as well. As I said, we also have then the dedicated LAN port that we also Reinhard had discussed before. This dedicated LAN port can be then connected to for connecting the inverter to the home router for uploading all the operation values on the iSolar Cloud, and therefore this information that we provide will then be received by the device by MyPV, which of course then can use this information and allow the system to use the excessive energy when this is then stored in the battery and can be used for such a solution. Additional to that, of course, we also, an energy meter is required for net metering purposes or for determining the production, of course, and the input to the grid at feed-in level. As Reinhard has mentioned, it is also possible to use our Sungrow meter for this whole system, and therefore we also include this meter directly into the the box, so it is not necessary to buy an additional device to control this from Sungrow side, and of course also from MyPV side. And the meter can be then additionally also used for feed-in limitation, for example, can be also of course used for full metering of the PV plant. The meter does not require CTs, therefore has a direct connection for better metering performances. I see there are some questions also regarding retrofit. So in general, of course, the retrofit can also be used for these purposes, for retrofit purposes. Of course, it just be it's necessary to check the compatibility of the two and the compatibility of the old system that you would like to retrofit. But this solution that we discussed together is a possible solution for retrofitting old installations. Here we see an overview of the setup case that we can achieve with the hybrid. In orange, you can see all the equipment connected to the backup port, and therefore will be active in case the system is disconnected from the grid. Whereas all the devices in blue are then connected to the grid itself, and therefore will not be working in case of a disconnection from it. Of course, in case the grid is down or you want to work in island mode, then you will have this solution. So of course, all the equipment connected to the grid will of course be off, and therefore just the equipment that's connected to the backup port will be provided energy from the excessive battery that we have installed in comparison with our inverter. So I think this is an overview of our system. Of course, in this section we can also have then the connection with hot water that is generally, of course, even improved solution compared to just a simple PV inverter connected to a battery. So that was with regarding the connection. One last item that I wanted to highlight is the one of our new products that will come to the market is the new YNET dongle. This is a product that can allow you to use either a Wi-Fi connection or an Ethernet connection. So you won't need to buy either one of the dongle. And this is also very important for MyPV solution, system solution, because this is allows then a better communication with excessive power. And thanks to this, we will have a faster recharge of the data, of live data, and therefore a more speedy communication with compatible devices, and therefore to provide a better reaction time also for example, MyPV solution or other compatible devices on site. This device will also help to carry out, for example, IV curve scans, and that is also, for example, required for PV installations, and therefore there are many advanced features that then you will get to know once the product is actually launched on the market. So that was it from my side. I will give my my word to Reinhard. I think we're still almost in time.
Perfect.
Tried to get all the information out there.
Yes, you tried hard, and some of our participants were worried that you are not able to take a breath. So
No, I'm a fast speaker, maybe too fast speaker.
So many of them asked for a record of this webinar because we are aware as well that this is very much information in a small time frame, of course. I'm already recording the webinar and the record will be online on the MyPV download site sometimes around tomorrow afternoon. And yeah, this is how you can find it. So this is the internet address for the downloads, and beside all the webinar records, you of course find all the manuals and wiring diagrams and also marketing information that you're probably going to need for your sales activity. One question that was a few times in the chat is the retrofitting topic. So Eleonora, please correct me if I'm wrong. Right now, we can communicate with your hybrid inverter, but we are also able to receive the excessive power information from Sungrow when you have this interface here. Is that correct?
That is correct. So, of course, the hybrid is already compatible with the device, but with this new device that we'll have, will allow a better communication and actually a live communication for excessive power. So that will be the main key point for then this compatibility.
Thank you. For all older systems that are working with Sungrow inverters that are too old to be equipped with this interface here, there's another way to measure the excessive power, and then it has to be measured by MyPV ourselves. And we have our own energy meter, which is installed in the feed-in point. It's called the MyPV Power Meter. So please check our website, products MyPV Power Meter. It's a three-phase meter for your feed-in point. It also works in single-phase systems, of course. And then we measure the excessive power in the feed-in point ourselves. What we want to show you today is that we do not ask for using the MyPV Power Meter if there is a compatible Sungrow signal source. You do not have to install our meter additionally. You can save on the costs here and on the installation effort. So then beside the download section in our website, there's of course a YouTube, a very important information channel, and of course we're having our clips uploaded there as well. One clip that I'm always recommending at this point is the short video clip of the actor commissioning, and it's in German actually, but the subtitles of YouTube work very well. And here you see how easy it is to install an actor and how few settings are necessary on the display to commission this device. So it should give you a first overview of the things that need to be adjusted. When you do the installation for the first time, you are already pre-informed and you do not have to wait to pack out the actor on the installation site when you see it for the first time. MyPV is a developer and a manufacturer. We are not selling to the end customer. Our distribution usually happens via the wholesalers, we are the distributors. You find a list of the wholesalers that we are already cooperating with on our website, and we are also selling to the installer directly as well. When we do this, we consider the interests of the wholesaler, of course. So we are offering to the installer at the price level that we also recommend to the distributor for reselling. In that way, we ensure that the interests of the distributors are not violated, but we can get into business much faster than for new markets. And now we are at the end of the webinar. So thank you very much for your attention, for your positive feedback, of course. Are there any answers left? I just take a short look into the chat. Okay, there are some thank yous here. There is one question left. I mean, can this new system work with other inverters? MyPV is flexible for third-party control. Also, the Sungrow philosophy is to be compatible to other systems. Sungrow is the important example of the day. MyPV can also receive the excessive power information from other brands. This can be smart home manufacturers, can be battery manufacturers, it can also be other inverter manufacturers, but today it's mainly about Sungrow, and that's why we want to talk about this possibility. But you find a list of all compatible partners on our website as well. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are a little above schedule. Thank you very much again for participating. It was a pleasure that you spent the time with us today. Also in the name of Eleonora, thank you very much. Eleonora, just switch on your mic again, or Talal, if you have to say something. If not, oh yeah, I hear you again.
Yeah. I just wanted to thank you as well from my side, and yeah, thank you for the cooperation and for inviting us, Reinhard.
It was a pleasure, Eleonora. Thank you very much, and I hope that we will meet again personally, maybe sometime, maybe on the Intersolar Trade Fair in Munich. We hope that it will be possible sometime again, and for the time being, yeah, we just know each other via the webinar conversation, but thank you very much for this appointment here. It was a real pleasure, and wherever you are, ladies and gentlemen, stay healthy, have a nice evening, and goodbye. See you soon. I hope so.